So, about a month ago, I volunteered to be part of this panel. It's for Latino Heritage Month. It's the network, the Latino lawyer network at my firm decided to do some events for Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month. And one of those events was this law school panel for first years, specifically Latinos, but anybody else would be able to join. The purpose of it was so that we can talk about our experiences and how we got to where we are and how our identity shaped us and helped us in our path. And I was actually really nervous for it today. Maybe it's because it's been a while since I talked in front of a huge group of people. But yeah, I was nervous. It was on my mind for most of today, and there were questions that they gave us beforehand. That so like the questions, some of the questions they did give us beforehand, so I had an idea of what I was going to be asked, and I could have prepared, or sorry, I did prepare accordingly, but still it's just it's not the same until the moment you actually are doing the thing that is making you nervous. Like, at least for me, the jitters don't go away until it starts. Actually, it happens not just with like speaking, but with most things, especially when it comes to soccer. Whenever I have to go play soccer, for some reason I get nervous up until the point that the ball starts moving, and then after that the nerves go away. But I thought I this would be something good to just talk about and make a video about. I obviously want to talk about a little bit about my experience, but I want to focus or more or less on the questions that I was asked. And I have the questions here. I'm not trying to just repeat what I said, but I I really liked my answers, so I kind of want to share them with you. I didn't really write down my answers, but I do remember what I said. So, yeah, I'm just gonna start with one of the first questions that they asked me was essentially, how has my identity shaped my path? And I talked about how in my situation I am an immigrant. I moved out here from Peru when I was around 4 years old. My parents are immigrants as well. They're the ones that brought me to this country. And because my family was exposed to the immigration system so early on, I was in, one way or another, against my will, exposed to the legal system, to the law, and it intrigued me. It really did. I didn't understand it as a kid, but I did know that I cared about it. And for the longest time, I thought that potentially I was going to be an immigration lawyer, and a lot of my family members thought so too, just because I had so many family members that would have benefited from having an immigration lawyer. Eventually, I ended up choosing a different path. I didn't want to be an immigration lawyer, and that actually caused some judgment against me. Not from my core family, but from my extended family. And I also got some judgment from other Latinos in law school that were more geared towards public sector work and were questioning and wondering why I wanted to do big law or corporate work or work for big corporations is essentially what all that means, and that I was going to just be a sellout. But I tried to not let it bother me. I obviously wanted to live my own life, make my own path, and because of that, I decided to go into where I am now. I do transactional work in a big law firm, and I have absolutely no regrets. And what ended up happening is that because I work at such a big law firm that has the resources and the mentorship, I'm able to do a lot of pro bono work. A lot of pro bono work specifically in the immigration field. So kind of ironic that even though I didn't become an immigration attorney, I actually do quite a bit of immigration work. I'm helping currently a mother and her child through a removal proceeding. I am helping a family of five apply for their green card. I am helping another mother and son trying to apply for a U visa. So, like, I do quite a bit of immigration work, and that is my way of trying to still provide and give back to my community because I didn't choose to go down the big law firm route simply because I didn't care about doing public sector work or immigration work. I did it. Uh, if, in all honesty, and this actually goes into another question that was asked to me at a later time, is why did I go into, why did I choose big law? Um, the reason because I saw it as a challenge. I remember someone telling me about big law and what that meant, and that it is a difficult it is just it is a difficult path because it's hard to get in to these big law firms, and there's not that many Latino lawyers out there, and there's far fewer who are in big law. So I saw it as a personal challenge of mine. Plus, that same person said that to be a not a good attorney. Sorry, let me rephrase that. They said that going into big law and going down that path will make you a lawyer, I guess, a good lawyer. They would teach you how to be a lawyer. Yeah, sorry. That's what they said. That big law would teach you how to be a lawyer. So I don't necessarily think that's 100% true because you obviously learn how to be a lawyer in all types of jobs that have to do with actually being a lawyer. But there's obviously variations in each one of them. But what I will agree is that because it's such a big law firm and there's different levels in every deal that you're in, there's usually a couple of associates there. You do get great mentorship. I know that in smaller places, you kind of just get thrown into it and you probably do learn a lot quicker, but at least having someone more senior than you on a deal and you not being the only one in it. Um, it gives you more opportunities to just learn without necessarily having the pressure of needing to do a perfect job from the get go. You're able to ask questions and, obviously, hopefully, still avoid mistakes, but you'll have more mentorship. At least I believe so. But, anyways, like I said, I saw it as a challenge. I wanted to get in. I wanted to prove a point. I specifically chose my firm because they I I had my phone call interview with a partner that I work with now actually just sold me the firm the way that he just spoke about it and how much it seemed like he liked his job and not in a workaholic kind of way, more in that he just genuinely enjoyed what he was doing, and that's really all I want. I feel like most people in this world go live their life working in jobs they don't truly enjoy, and I just didn't want that to be me. I wanted to find a job that I would enjoy, and so far after a year I'm enjoying it. Now, am I going to keep enjoying it? Who knows? But so far I have no regrets in choosing the legal field as my career. But yeah, the way he just spoke about the job and the way he spoke about the people that he worked with really made it seem like people actually cared about one another. And at the time, I didn't, I was skeptical. And this person is trying to convince me to join their company. I was skeptical, but out of all the interviews I did do, his seemed the most genuine. He seemed the nicest, and I decided to just at least try and do my summer internship there. So I did, and to my surprise, everybody seemed pretty nice. It didn't seem like it was a facade. But then again, I was still very skeptical because they could just be putting that show just for the summer because they're trying to convince all these interns to join their company. But now that I am working there and it's been roughly a year, I can say that at least with the people that I work directly, everybody is really nice and people seem to actually do care about one another. And I can give you some specific examples that kind of show that. One would be that my mentor associate, or my associate mentor, and I play soccer every Wednesday and Sunday. And we go out. We don't just work together, we actually go out. Um, we've gone to sporting events. He's come over to my place to watch sporting events, mostly it's sport related things, but nonetheless, like we do stuff outside of work. He genuinely cares about what's going on in my life. I try to do the same. We've had somewhat deep conversations, and I I made a friend. I made a friend, and that's all I can truly really ask. Is to just be able to make friends with the people that I work with because presumably I'm going to be working with these people for a long time. So I at least want to enjoy and like the people that I work with. Now, another example where it kind of showed me that people did really care is that I actually recently got engaged. Yay, me. I'm actually really happy. That wasn't my genuine and best reaction. But I'm obviously very, very happy about my engagement, and I'll probably be making a video about that later. But I had told a few people in my practice group that that was something I was thinking about, and specifically that I was going to go on vacation for a couple of days so I can propose. And to my surprise, when I came back, we usually have these like weekly lunches on Thursdays in my practice group. They had bought me like cupcakes to celebrate. My associate mentor had asked me earlier in that week when I got back if she had said yes. And I told him yes, and I believe he then told everybody that it was a yes, and so they got cupcakes to celebrate, and they were waiting for me. Everybody showed up. Sometimes there's a few people that can't show up for some sort of reason, either work or life. They can't show up to the lunch. But pretty much everybody showed up. One person didn't show up because they did have an emergency, and but she still kind of phoned in through Zoom because everybody was just curious about my story. It was everybody just wanted to know the whole everything I had planned and how it all went down, and they just wanted the details. And they bought cupcakes, and we celebrated for a second there, and I was completely surprised. I didn't think they were gonna do that. I don't think I told enough people for like I thought I just told a couple of people, but I don't know. Maybe I did tell more than I initially thought. But the fact that they did all that was really nice, and it just shows again to me that they do care, and that's the only thing I can ask for because it just makes this job less dreadful. The job in of itself is very stressful, but if you can do this job with people that you actually like, it makes everything so much easier. I've had, there's been days where I've needed to work and wake up at 5 a.m. because there's a deal that's closing in New York and they need to do it by 9 a.m. Eastern time. So you have to wake up at 5 here to make sure everything is ready. So that when it does hit 9 a.m. Eastern time, everything is able to close. So, yeah, when you do that, when those days come, those stressful and tired, some in hard days actually occur, doing it with people that have your back just makes it everything so much easier. Anyways, that's a long answer for those two questions. Um, the next question is I guess I kind of already answered, is how I'm able to help my community in Big Law. like I said, pro bono is a big thing. Originally, I actually started pro bono because when I first started working, I wasn't getting enough billable work, or work in my field. So I remember seeing some emails coming through asking for help on some pro bono matters, and I said, why not? This is my chance to be able to help other people and put my lawyering skills to the test, while also keeping busy. And I just very much, I guess, liked it. I very much enjoyed learning and taking more more of a, I guess, a leadership role, because in these cases it's you do have like a supervisor, but a lot of the work falls on you. You take ownership in your case. It is your case, and I very much like that, because I was able to do things at my own pace, and I was able to learn new areas of law. I'm just a learner. I like to learn, so it was great. I enjoyed it so much that I just kept on going, and racked up quite a bit of pro bono hours this past year. So I ended up doing about 200 and something hours of just pro bono work, and I loved it. I loved every second of it, and I hope to be able to continue throughout my entire career. Um, and then let's go into I think one of the last questions that I got asked was about like how to manage work life balance. They specifically were trying to ask about setting boundaries with your family members. It seemed like this person that asked this question has a very tight and close family, which I could relate a lot to. My family are really close. My parents are very dependent on me. Not financially, but because they don't really speak English, and because I've always been the person to go to for a lot of their problems or a lot of their questions. Um, they just been relying on me for so long that they never really bothered to get out of that habit. Especially since I'm the oldest, so I've been kind of that go-to person for not just my parents but my siblings as well. um, and you can call it a burden, in a way. I feel like that's a harsh word. Um, I would call it a blessing or a privilege of being able to help other people. That sounds a lot nicer, but it did get to a point where they didn't truly understand how much and how many hours I was putting into work. They saw it as just a 9 to 5, which is not true. Um, I can work really, really random hours and really, really long days. It really just depends on what the situation is at that time. So there were times where I don't know. I would go visit them in Las Vegas at their house out there, and it was still a weekday, and it was like 7 p.m. and I had to like check my laptop for something, and they were like, "Why are you checking your laptop?" And they kept trying to phrase it like I was some sort of workaholic, or I was going to become a workaholic, and I actually liked working. And one of my fears when just one of my general fears that I had, because I am an overachiever, was that I was gonna become a workaholic. Then I started working this job, and I realized quickly that no, I don't. I enjoy what I do, but I don't want to be working super long hours. That is not what I want to do. I want to go out and play soccer. I want to go spend time with my fiance, spend time with my family. Like that is not what I want to do. So for them to tell me that I liked to do, open up my laptop at 8 p.m. to do something is just baffling and actually kind of funny. So I had to have a conversation with them because they were calling me about pretty minor things. And not that like just calling me to just check up on me. It was more like, hey, Eduardo, can you do this, this, and that? And I was like, I don't want to come home after a long day of work to then do work for somebody else. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun. So, I had a conversation with them. It was a hard conversation because you don't really want to say no to your parents, especially when you're as close as I am to mine. And I was like, you have my brother and sister. They can help you with these things. You don't need my help necessarily. It's not anything major, and I would appreciate if you don't add more things to my plate. Obviously, if you truly do need my help for something because my brother and sister can't do and you can't do it, or it's something huge in an emergency, like yeah, then ask me. I don't mind. And it took me a second and a while to come to the realization that I needed to have that conversation, but it very much was needed. And since then, I think it's gotten a lot better because I do remember that when they were asking all those requests, it was annoying me, and it wasn't just that it was annoying me, like I was actually visibly annoyed and I would let it out on them. So, and that's not nice. There's no point in me telling them to like back off in a mean way when I could have just had this conversation and they understood when I finally explained everything to them. So, yeah, that was something that was asked. I think the person that asked it really liked my answer and resonated with my answer because they actually sent a message via the chat option to just thank me for my answer. And honestly, because of that thanks that they gave me is the reason why I decided to make this video, because maybe other people could resonate with some of these answers. But anyways, I was going to talk more about generally what it is and how it feels to be a Latino lawyer, especially in a non-Latino dominated field. Or just generally, in the legal field, there's not a lot of Latino lawyers, but it seems like this video is long enough, so I will talk about that another day. And that's pretty much all I have. All right. Bye.